Hello everyone, welcome back to the Undercut, and today we're going to be talking about Perez and Lawson. The Mexican Grand Prix just happened and there was a madness of an incident between the two of them. What does this mean for Red Bull in 2025? What does this mean for the second seat? What does this mean for Sergio Perez? Let's talk about it. I mean, this is it's big, isn't it? It seems like we always talk about Red Bull at least once every weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Red Bull seems to be a main talking point, don't they? Pretty much every week at this point since the Hornet allegations back in February.
Yep.
Like, literally, I can't remember a time where we haven't talked about Red Bull.
No, we've talked
The
about
only
Red
time
Bull.
that I can fully remember is when Hamilton got mentioned for Ferrari, and that was it.
That was like before most of the Red Bull stuff happened anyway, so...
Yeah. Like, what is going on with Red Bull? It's a whirlwind.
Yeah.
It's
Bro,
absolutely mental.
Yeah, it's mental. But obviously in Mexico, it sparked a whole new debate now. So back in Austin and Singapore, it was, of course, Daniel Ricciardo being replaced by Liam Lawson. That was the big talking point Red Bull-wise. Now in Mexico, it's the fact that Liam Lawson has pretty much... Well... People have differing views on the incident, but it's fair to say everyone can agree that it was probably the last team, or last driver really, maybe other than Max, that he really needed to be battling that aggressive with. Potentially his future employers. And both of them, I think, maybe going a little bit too hard, trying to prove a point maybe to Red Bull. Red Bull obviously, Perez obviously, trying to fight Liam hard to show that he deserves that seat, and Liam, of course, fighting Perez hard to show that he deserves that seat. So it's it's crazy.
Yeah. I think they both saw each other and was like, "He's getting my seat, or I want to keep my seat."
Yeah.
So I think they were just like, right, we've got to show something. Which, don't get me wrong, you do need to. I think maybe a little over the top from both of them.
Definitely.
Just a little. But in terms of Perez, I don't think that has done him any favours. I think that incident, if you were to choose who's it favoured more, it would be Lawson. Because Perez is ultimately in the faster car anyway, so he didn't have to make that move there and then.
No, we discussed this on the podcast, but...
We did discuss this.
We did.
I think Lawson, at that time, he has to, in a slower car, has to kind of get his elbows out. Now, did he get them out too much? Probably. But he has to show that fight and grit, determination, raw speed, aggressiveness to be Max Verstappen's teammate, though.
Yep, and I absolutely love it. I love it because it's great. To see Lawson be like, nah, fuck this, man. I'm just. It's a Red Bull. Probably shouldn't fight him because he's coming through anyway, and these are my future employers probably. But fuck it, I'm just gonna fucking go for it. I love it.
Yeah,
it's great. I just love it from Liam.
What Lawson has behind him, though, you got to remember, is helmet marker.
Yeah.
Lawson has the backing of helmet Marco in every scenario. Unless he takes out Max completely, like...
Yeah, no, you take out Max.
Adore him.
Yeah, you take out the golden boy, you're screwed.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Lawson has showed that. So this has now led to the conversation. Is it almost nailed on now, Lawson, for 2025? Do you reckon Red Bull are going to drop Sergio Perez?
I think Red Bull will drop Sergio Perez for 2025.
Think it's looking...
I think they will. I think this year, specifically, has highlighted Red Bull's and Perez's problem in terms of getting that Constructors' Championship over the line, because they're nailed on for third.
Pretty much,
not even second, third. And the only person that you can put the blame on for that is Perez, because Ferrari, as we've seen, are picking up 1-2s, 1-3s. McLaren, most of the time, are picking up 1-2s, 1-3s, 1-4s, something like that. Both getting on the podium or thereabouts. I mean, if one of them does have a mess up coming from the back of the grid, they're still scoring decent points. Perez isn't.
Yeah.
So, I think Perez, now, I think Red Bull have realised if they want to win the Constructors again next year, Perez needs to go. Do I think it's nailed on for Lawson? I think it's stronger for Lawson. I would do 60-40 in Lawson's favour, but I wouldn't discount Yuki yet.
Yeah, this is probably another video we'll do at some point in the future, like top 5 drivers to replace Perez. But right now, focusing on Lawson, he is probably the most likely candidate.
Yeah.
So like it's a bit mad as well because Perez, I mean, Max is leading the championship, the drivers' championship. So Max is quite literally doing everything he can for the constructors. There's nothing more he can do. He's leading the championship. So it is ultimately 100% Perez's fault.
It is.
So,
you can't blame him. He's on 150 points, something like that.
Yeah.
Is it 30 behind the George Russell in that Mercedes in 7th?
Yeah.
That's a large amount of points to be behind the Mercedes.
Mercedes have been consistently 4th fastest for like 70% of the races as well.
Mercedes have been consistently inconsistent this year.
They have, yeah. But when they have, they've been more than likely 4th than anything else.
Sometimes 3rd. They've rarely been the fastest. They have that little blip, didn't they, in the middle where they were probably 1st or 2nd fastest.
There was 4 or 5 races where, from Canada to just before the summer break, where they were
like Belgium.
Yeah, like Belgium, where they were 1st or 2nd. But apart from then, Mercedes haven't had a stint where they've been able to extract anything from that car, and we've seen Hamilton and Russell struggle several times. So
yeah, literally about 3/4 of this season they have been 3rd, 4th fastest team.
I'd accept the Ferraris and the McLarens being ahead of Perez, but the fact that the Mercedes are as well is like,
it's not that the Mercedes are just, they're comfortably ahead of him.
Yeah.
And they have been since Belgium.
Yeah.
It's not good enough from Sergio Perez. Like, yeah, you say you gotta accept the McLarens, the Ferraris, but yeah, you accept it, but he shouldn't really be more than 10 points behind one of them too.
No, he should be firmly in that fight. Like, even if
he should be firmly in the top 5 fight here.
Yeah, even if it was like behind both McLarens and Ferraris, he shouldn't be that much. He should be within a chance to at least get 3rd potentially in the championship. That's what he should be.
At the moment, it doesn't even look like he's getting out of 8th.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I don't think he will. I think it's
no.
Like I think you go on to Bet365 or a betting app, Perez to not finish 8th in the World Drivers' Championship. It's like impossible odds.
You're a millionaire.
You're a millionaire.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think it's not only the right move for Red Bull to get rid of him next year, but the logical move.
Now that Lawson's in there, because when it was Daniel and Yuki, it was a little bit more complicated, wasn't it?
It was more complicated because it's always looked that Red Bull just don't like Yuki.
Yeah.
For some bizarre reason. But now Lawson's in there, obviously he's got the backing of Helmut Marko, like Max has the backing of Helmut Marko. So that's why I think Lawson's heavily in favour to take that seat. But you can't discount Yuki's performances every season's just getting better.
Yeah, it's a shame because before Liam came in, obviously Daniel was lined up to... He's put in there to then move up to Red Bull probably next season or maybe even partway through this season. Didn't perform as they'd probably want him to, so then you look to Yuki. Does Yuki get that chance? But for some reason, as you mentioned, even though his performances get better every season, they just seem to ignore him. But now Lawson's in that car, and he is actually performing pretty well. Like, he's had a good start to the last couple of races of the season.
Oh, yeah.
He's had a decent start. He and we know Red Bull likes to promote youth from time to time. It's looking like potentially it might be Liam's chance. So what are we saying then? Like, as a verdict, are we saying it's pretty much nailed on that Liam's gonna or at least get replaced? Perez going to get replaced?
I think it's nailed on. Perez won't be here next season, or won't be in the Red Bull next season.
Yeah.
It's nailed on for that, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's 90% there. He's not.
Was that Mexico performance the nail in the coffin, do you think? Just the qualifying, the whole weekend, the battle with Lawson?
I think the nail in the coffin was Daniel Ricciardo going, funnily enough.
Oh, really?
Funnily enough, I think Daniel Ricciardo going was the nail in the coffin for Perez as well.
Do you think that's because they sort of brought Liam in with the intention
I don't think you need
Perez?
to look at it in terms of Lawson's coming because Daniel's performing. I think you look at it, Lawson's coming to get him up to speed, maybe for the Red Bull.
Yeah, and you know what's actually sort of played on my mind a little bit as well is that why have, like, surely they obviously in Texas and in Mexico, Oscar Piastri hasn't been able to help Lando Norris in the championship. We've criticised him for that, but on the most part, you know, for the majority of the season, you can rely on Oscar Piastri to take a place off Max Verstappen quite comfortably, right? Perez isn't able to do that. I'm surprised Red Bull haven't replaced Perez already, just to try and get another car to finish in front of Lando Norris. Just to try.
I was surprised that he lasted past the summer break, to be honest.
Yeah. Like, if they put Liam in there now and he's just immediately quicker, they have a higher chance of finishing in front of Lando with at least one of their cars. I'm surprised they just haven't done that. Just for the title battle. Like, forget the constructors now. You're not winning the constructors. You're probably not even getting second. Just help Max any way you can. Perez is not, like, doing anything. But either way, that's sort of my thoughts on it. So, yeah. But...
yeah, no, I think that's it for Perez, really.
Yeah, if they want to win the constructors next year.
It's getting worse and worse for him, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. Yeah, leave at the top, even though he didn't leave at the top. He's leaving at the bottom. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe. Tell us in the comments below. Do you think Perez deserves to get replaced? If not, why? Will it be Liam that gets that seat? And does Yuki deserve a chance, maybe? And we'll catch you on Thursday for the preview for the sprint weekend, which is the Brazilian Grand Prix.